My boyfriend told me he gets turned on when I cry. I have been dating my boyfriend for a little over 6 months. He just casually admitted to me he gets hard every time he sees me crying. I thought he was joking at first, but he was dead serious. I'm honestly not even sure what to think of it. I feel like it needs to be either this or the age gap, but the two together jump the shark a bit. When my wife would get upset and cry, I would go over and hold her. Maybe 1 out of 4 times I would get one. It had nothing to do with wanting to fuck her. It was just proximity, deep affection, and her scent sometimes. My wife crying is not hot. My wife is hot, and she just happens to be crying. Is this actually a thing? Girl, 27? That's a pretty big age gap. PLZ, be safe. Run. My ex-husband told me that. And he'd get more and more hurtful verbally until it wasn't enough and got more and more physically abusive to get off on it. His arousal from your pain is a massive red flag. Please leave. My grandparents once said to me that even at 18, a man nearing his 30s is still too old for you. These are people who lived during the generations where teenagers as young as 15-16 were getting married to way older men. My grandparents were fucked up people in so many ways. But they had a point once in a while. This is one of those points. Regardless, this BF needs to get therapy or something. And I already know that a 19-year-old isn't going to listen to people telling them what's effed up and what's not. Been there, done that. Just be careful. If he already has a dark personality, I would be cautious AF. That's not normal. Narcissistic sociopath. This guy gets off on your pain. If you don't cry on your own, he will make you cry for his own amusement. I think is fucked. Honest, like, unless you cry of happiness. Schadenfreude isn't particularly a good trait, is it? Like porn kinks or whatever is different. Role-playing is different. But this is real life. Wonder why he'd tell you something like that. Just tell him you get turned on every times he's having a hard time. Let's see how he likes the info. Well, that's psycho, not even talking about the age gap. That's another level of psycho. Location flag, 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 location flag. My daughter is 27 and the thought of her dating a 19-year-old. Hell, my younger daughter is 22 and I can't even picture her dating a 19-year-old. I have questions about him being aroused by crying too. It doesn't sound healthy. It would make me very uncomfortable. Op. Take heed of the advice you're getting here. How long have you been dating? This is some borderline grooming shit. I hope that gives you the ick. And you realize that men who get sexual pleasure from a woman being unhappy will always enjoy your unhappiness. That's not part of a healthy relationship. Friend, that's not a man, that's a walking red flag. Dude sounds like a psycho. Drop him. Someone who genuinely loves you will be upset when you cry, not be turned on. Think about how a close friend or your mom reacts when you cry. Do they get happy? If they get happy, then they shouldn't be around you. Be afraid, be very afraid. That's gross. It's not as abnormal as you think. It's not a kink. For some it's hormonal response. You can look it up. Run. If he gets aroused over you crying, who knows what else he might do to you. If I were you, I'd leave before things get ugly between you two. Bad news. Also, how many times have you had to cry in a 6-month relationship? Only a matter on time until he asks you to cry while having sex with you. I would leave. That sounds unhealthy. Ew. Run. You're supposed to think fuck this nigga on some freak pedo shit and then plan your escape out of the relationship. I mean, if that wasn't weird enough, the age gap probably has some roots for why he has that weird kink. GTFO, you shouldn't be dating a guy that's 27. His behavior is obviously a red flag. Run. I had an ex who told me this. He became abusive and did so much messed up stuff. Leave while you can. I don't see how this is a problem if 1. He is not intentionally making you cry. 2. He is not seeing you in an emotional state and then immediately trying to initiate sex. 3. He does not attempt to comfort you or ask what's wrong if he sees you crying. If he does any of the 3, then the issue is not that he gets turned on when he sees you cry. It's that he's a dick. Run before he starts making you cry. Respectfully, I cringed reading this. I am your age right now, and cannot imagine dating someone who is 27. The oldest I might go for is a senior in undergrad, 21-22 years old. Dump him immediately. I've been there, done that. Those kind of guys are bad. My ex used to be turned on by me crying. He would deny it until he was blue in the face but getting an erection and expecting sex whilst I'm bawling my eyes out is very telling. Is this a repost? I remember exactly the same thing from a year or so ago. Just in case this is real, I'd consider this a red flag and leave the guy before things get weird. He's much older than you as well. I kinda like it when I make you cry, 'cause I'm twisted up inside. Yikes. That sounds pretty sadistic and not in any good way. I wish you luck in figuring things out, but please don't ignore this giant red flag. Next, it'll be when he starts hurting you. I find it a bit weird. He actually gets turned on when you are upset and crying. I wonder what kinds porn he watches. I want you to ask yourself why he is seeking out people in your age group. I want you to know that now, as someone in my early 20s, I would never even look at someone below the age of 20-21. There is a reason why he is seeking out teenagers. Please be safe. This isn't a good situation for you. You may get out unscathed, or this will be an incredibly traumatizing relationship for you. I believe you'll figure out what's best for you. Gross. 1. He's way too old for you. He is a predator. 2. You don't want someone who is turned on by your misery. That is perverse. 3. Dump him today. Your boyfriend is a predator. My child's father was the same way until we had a kid. This post is a precursor to OP coming back in a few months. My ex-boyfriend was a pedo who tortured kids. Location flag 1. That age gap at such a young age is really gross on his part. Location flag 2. The fact that he gets hard every time he sees you cry. Location flag 3. At 6 months he's seen you cry enough to be able to state that and for you to take it to heart. This is going nowhere good. He hates women. And if he isn't abusing you already, which I suspect he is, at least emotionally and verbally, given location flag 3, he sure will be soon. Get out ASAP. Geez, the comments on this post seriously makes me worried about most of y'all. First, the age gap is ridiculously, and y'all trying to justify it because she's 19. A teen is fucked up. Plus they've only been together for 6 months. How much crying has she done for him? A fucking grown to casually tell her some shit like that. My daughter is 15 and I hope some grown ass nasty dick as man would try it when she turns 19. We're gonna have one less person in this world. I guarantee it. She's not old enough, 21 in the States, to buy liquor, but she's old enough to get fucked and fucked up mentally? Y'all dumbass hell. When there's an age gap you'd see emotional differences, but if someone is laughing when you're crying, that's a red flag regardless of whether it is your partner or friends. That's very alarming.